Hey, what's up, life designers? Welcome to Intentional Tuesdays. This week we are going to be talking about mastery. And in the blog write-up below, I differentiate mastery from everyday excellence. And there's a few crucial differences between excellence and mastery. When we talk about excellence, I usually think in terms of end results, and I'm usually thinking in terms of quality and achievement towards an end result. And when I talk about mastery, at least for me, I am thinking more about the process, more about the journey. Mastery tends to take a lot longer to accomplish, whereas excellence is really a moment in time. In his book, Mastery, George Leonard talks about the importance of mastery, especially in this day and age. I remember a great scene from one of my favorite movies, The Matrix, where Neo is just learning how this new world works that he's discovered, and they're about to plug him into the Matrix and teach him Kung Fu just by a download. It feels like that is the direction that our culture seems to be moving, where we are just demanding instantaneous gratification for all things, including our personal development. The reality is, and at least this has been my own experience, the most important, the most impactful transformations occur over time. And they're a function of enduring effort and real concentration over an extended period of time, coupled with practice and coupled with moments of setback which allow us to move forward, as I talked about in the blog post down below. That's where the real transformation occurs, at least in my experience. So the question for this week is, how do we get more mastery into our lives? My goal is to share with you 3 different ways to get more sense of mastery into your life. And you'll quickly discover that 2 of them are relatively easy, and the third, it really starts to kind of take on much more significance and much more meaning. But of course, the payoff is going to be much greater. So if you are interested, then let's jump right into that. So the first way, we'll call it level 1, or maybe even level 0, is to simply just look at your life, look at the different areas of your life, and ask yourself, where am I seeking shortcuts? Where am I trying to fast track my progress? Are you doing it in your physical life where you are, for me, for example, one thing that I fall victim to is when it comes to my workouts, I am a vitamin supplement addict. I can't walk past the vitamin store without getting sucked in and spending $100 on various vitamin supplements. And I don't really know if they ultimately do anything for me physically, but I can't stop feeling that if I just have this pill, I will suddenly be more fit. My workouts will be that much better. There's other areas of our lives where we might shortcut. If it's building our business, we might fall prey to the latest marketing about how to become a great entrepreneur just by downloading this training, or following this particular guru's advice. It happens all the time with personal growth and development. Trying to shortcut our development with a weekend seminar, or a 1-hour, really inspirational video that walk away feeling great, but the actual impact isn't sustainable. So, these are some of the ways that you might be finding shortcuts in your life. So look for those ways, identify them, and then just simply ask yourself the question, what would a more masterful approach look like in this area of my life? And of course, by masterful, I mean if you were to take slow, deliberate approach, where progress is something that you are comfortable measuring over time, where you're willing to accept setbacks in order to gain, take 1 step back in order to take 2 steps forward. This is what I mean by a masterful approach. And just ask yourself, what would that look like in this context, in this area of my life? How might I go about being more masterful? And then let your intuition decide which is the right way to go forward. So now for level 2, and this is kind of a fun one. What you have to do for this level 2 is you have to read a book. Pretty straightforward, right? Just simply reading a book. But there are some rules here. the book needs to be more than 100 years old, preferably even written in the 1800s. If you find a book that is written in the 1800s and you read that from cover to cover, that is going to give you, I think, a little bit of taste of what a mastery endeavor looks like. Now why is that? Well, part of the reason is because you are going to feel just a little bit uncomfortable in reading a book that was written more than 100 years ago because of the pure language factor. The way people thought back then and the language that they used is going to be so different than what you're used to today. And the style of writing is going to be so different than what you're used to today. You are going to feel just a little bit off kilter with this 100-year-old book. And sitting with that discomfort and working through it and appreciating the mastery of the authors from days past. And I'm talking about, choose a novel that's well regarded. Don Quixote or Moby Dick or Pride and Prejudice. Pick something that has endured the test of time in terms of quality, so you can really just be with it and be with the experience of kind of struggling a little bit through what might be a slightly uncomfortable situation for you. And then, of course, when you're finished with that particular book, you're probably not going to be able to just walk into your coffee shop with your friends or into a cocktail party and start talking about that book. There's not going to be that instant gratification there that you might get if you read the most current bestseller off the Barnes and Noble shelves or off the Amazon bestseller list. So you'll be reading the book for the purpose of reading the book. So your purpose of reading that book is going to shift just a little bit. And you're going to get, in doing this, you're going to get just a little bit of a taste of mastery. I think it's worth your effort to experience it the way that I'm proposing here with level 2. So the last challenge, we'll call it level 3, is where you actually take on a mastery type task, whether it be a hobby or some activity where mastery really is the coin of the realm. And it can be anything from learning a musical instrument or learning a foreign language or, as I've mentioned, taking up a sport like jiu-jitsu or I mentioned golf. Something that is going to require you to invest a lot of time in order to get good at that particular thing. Even meditation is an example where it takes a long time. You're probably not going to measure a lot of your progress day to day. Your progress is going to be measured over the course of months, if not years. Committing to that type of activity, that type of growth, is what mastery is all about. And you take that kind of endeavor on not because you're simply trying to achieve the results. There is tremendous reward that come with the results, but you're really endeavoring, in a mastery endeavor is really more about the process. It's really more about the journey and the discipline and the growth that happens because you're going through the mastery process. Definitely, if you're up for a challenge, I recommend taking on, having some area of your life where you are working towards mastery. So that's it for this week's Intentional Tuesday. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, I appreciate your time and your attention. With that, I will wish you all the best, and until our paths cross again, prosperous journey. Take care.